Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
One strike for wearing branded clothes, 2 strikes for using a mobile phone. This programme has seen an internal document from JD Sports detailing these guidelines that its warehouse workers can face if they break company rules. Last week, we showed footage inside the warehouse of workers discussing the strike's policy, but the company categorically denied operating any such system. However, the document we've seen appears to contradict that. The former business secretary, Sir Vince Cable, tells us the company's behaviour was disproportionate, oppressive and exploitative. Our North of England correspondent Kieran Jenkins has this exclusive report.
Britain's biggest sports retailer is under increasing pressure tonight.
Oh, it's more work. Prisoners get more freedom respect.
Calls for it to explain its repeated denials of working conditions exposed by this programme as the evidence continues to mount. Last week, we revealed the reality of working at JD Sports, at the warehouse that serves all its UK stores. Our undercover footage showed a strict disciplinary system that's drawn fierce condemnation. For all manner of minor security and safety infractions, 3 strikes and you could be fired.
It's a strike, because some people think you get a strike.
You get strikes, you get 3 strikes, you get sacked.
But JD Sports says what you're seeing is not its policy.
What are the 3 strikes?
Chewing gum, matches, lighters, mobile phones.
A system described as twice as bad as Sports Direct.
There's loads of things you're not allowed to do.
In public, JD Sports categorically denied operating a strike system, said there isn't one, never has been. Well, today we can reveal what we understand to be a document from within the warehouse outlining each offence and guidelines for the number of strikes to be issued in each case. If that's not a strike system, what is? This document was apparently sent to senior managers at the warehouse in the last 2 years and is allegedly still in use today. Mobile phones in the warehouse, the document says, is 2 strikes. Branded clothing, 1 strike. Hoodies, 1 strike. Drinks and food, 1 strike. We showed our evidence to the former business secretary, Sir Vince Cable. Are you in any doubt that there is or has been a strike system in operation at that facility?
Well, having heard the audible evidence on tape and having seen the documents, it's abundantly clear to me the way this company is operating, which is completely unacceptable and disproportionate and oppressive and exploitative of its workforce.
Especially people sitting down. You slap people for sitting down? Yeah.
JD Sports says it has every confidence in its team at the warehouse and it stands by its policies, which it says are robust and fair, but they admit they could do better implementing them. The government, though, has already intervened. JD Sports banned from recruiting to its warehouse at all job centres until it can satisfy the government it's treating workers appropriately. The company has announced a review to be overseen by its non-executive directors, but there is pressure on them to do far more. Where's the executive chairman, who earned £2.7 million last year? Peter Cowgill has refused all our requests for interview and refused to utter a single word of explanation. What do you make of the fact that the executive chairman of JD Sports has said nothing about this?
Well, I think he should watch his step, because we've seen what's happened to Mr. Ashley and Sports Direct following their exposure. This appears to be as bad or worse. If you have practices like this operating in business, then the company should be exposed and pressured into behaving properly. And I think that is now beginning, but the company are very slow getting their act together.
Would you stop shopping at JD Sports?
Well, I don't think I've ever shopped there, but having heard what I've heard today and seen what I've seen, I certainly would not.
Since our investigation, we've received letters from hundreds of workers at employers across the country. Now, as you shop this Christmas, you may not have given them a second thought, but what they tell us is how powerless they feel and how this problem runs far deeper than many would care to believe. Don't forget that scandal hit Sports Direct. Profits sank over 50% in recent months. But JD Sports seems intent to tough this out.
Kieran Jenkins reporting. Well, earlier I spoke to the former footballer Pat Nevin, who won 28 caps for Scotland across a 10-year international career and now works as a football writer and broadcaster. I began by asking him whether the Scottish Football Association should be looking into the working practices of JD Sports, which has an exclusive deal to supply Scottish football team shirts.
I think it's a wider question. It's a question that's actually been around a lot longer than people think. Some of the biggest industries, the worldwide industries that have been working in sports, sportswear, strips, etc., they've had their problems in sweatshops in various parts of the world. So I always think it's quite a good thing when the media bring these things to our attention, because pressure is then put on either sports clubs or associations or federations to put pressure on their suppliers. And then slowly but surely that increases, obviously, the payment or the conditions that the workers have to work in. So it's great that these stories are coming out. As a former chairman of the PFA and the union, generally a union man, I'm actually delighted that it's up here now. Now for the SFA or whatever the FA is, I don't expect them to say we're not working with you anymore immediately, but I do expect them to put pressure on to have better working practices.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, these exclusive kit deals do lend themselves to the kind of abuses that you talked about earlier. There have been kit suppliers elsewhere in the world who've come up against these problems of sweatshops and the rest of it. Are exclusive kit deals a good idea anyway?
I actually think that, because plenty of them work actually quite well. So it's a business. Now, I could go on rather a long time with the fact that I think we're generally in a gig economy that is abusing workers' rights anyway, and that's not just, you know, organisations that are manufacturing football. So that's people that are working for delivery companies, that's people that are actually going to have to drive 12 and 14 hours a day on scooters to hardly make the living wage as well. And to be fair, over the years, football organisations have actually generally been quite good at that. They don't spot it and they don't find it themselves. Quite often it gets found out for them. But when it's found out, they tend to adapt sooner rather than later.
All the issues around abuse, now the question of manufacturing kit and the rest of it. Is it any longer the beautiful game?
I do think the football is in many ways a beautiful game, but I always think it's been a big business as well. They're two very, very different things. I mean, I'd say the abuse scandals are a much more serious issue to be dealing with. A lot of it is historical, and you can't really point to football on its own. The one good thing out of this, the big thing, because it's such a newsworthy story in football, people have come forward and people are no longer scared to the same degree as they were to come forward. So in a way, even though football was harbouring it unknowingly, a lot of these people, it's actually a good thing that it came through football, because that's where you get the biggest bang for your buck in the media, and that's what's happened, and I'm delighted for it. The more time that we can get players saying what they've gone through, the easier it makes it for other people and other organisations and other industries to come through, say they were abused as well. So football can have its uses in good times and in bad.
Pat Nevin, thank you very much indeed for talking with us. And if you work at JD Sports and want to contact us, you can email our investigations unit direct. That's c4investigations@itn.co.uk.
I've been getting away with it.